This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore.
Choose your metaphor. You could put lipstick on a pig. A wolf in sheep's clothing is still a wolf. Or, a white supremacist doesn't have to have a skinhead and swastika tattoos. If you put a suit and a tie on a white supremacist, they still hold pernicious, vile, and dangerous beliefs. And that is the case with Tucker Carlson, who continues to spew radical, racist, mainline white supremacist, neo-Nazi talking points. He still talks about them almost on a daily basis on his Fox News program that is still sponsored by companies. Last night was no exception, where he took to the airwaves. Actually, let's do this. Let's rewind to December of 2018 and talk about, very briefly, just play the clip of him talking about how immigration makes our country poorer and dirtier.
Instead, our leaders demand that you shut up and accept this. We have a moral obligation to admit the world's poor, they tell us, even if it makes our own country poorer and dirtier and more divided. Immigration is a form of atonement. Previous leaders of our country committed sins. We must pay for those sins by welcoming an endless chain of migrant caravans. That's the argument they make. If it sounds like something that some dopey sociology professor at Long Beach State thought up half drunk in the 70s, you're right. That's pretty much exactly what it is.
That's the argument. There is a common conspiracy theory among these assholes that there's a white genocide taking place, that white people are being replaced by black and brown folks because they're having more babies than us. If you look up the Great Replacement Theory or white genocide, look those up. Those are real conspiracy theories that Tucker Carlson takes part in every single night. Just because he's wearing a suit and has a fancy education and is a rich fancy boy who went to a prep school doesn't mean he's not a dangerous white supremacist. Last night on his program, he was talking about how our country's full. There's not enough room anymore. And your most full countries are ugly and chaotic. What did he say? This is becoming a crowded country, and crowded countries are ugly, unhappy countries. That's what's really being reported. That's what's really blowing up on Twitter. But there's another piece to this that is far more dangerous and needs to be talked about. Let's get to the clip, then we're going to talk about it.
Has there ever been an administration this reckless and destructive? What's happening on the border tonight will change this country forever. A lot of things won't. This will, and you should know that. Unlike other disasters, mass illegal immigration is permanent. No one ever really gets sent home. Over the past 30 years, the population of the United States has exploded by nearly 100 million people, mostly due to immigration. Were you even aware that that happened? You're not supposed to say a word about it. As every year, the United States gets steadily more jammed with people, and at the same time, more chaotic and less cohesive. As the open spaces shrink, as nature itself recedes in the face of yet another strip mall or apartment complex or fast food outlet to serve the new people. This is becoming a crowded country, and crowded countries are ugly, unhappy countries. Why are we letting that happen?
These are vile words from a vile, sickening weakling. Someone who is afraid that people of color, that he's afraid America is becoming less like him. It's looking less like him. And when he talks about it being less cohesive, more chaotic and less cohesive, those are code words. That it's not traditional 1950s American culture where the white man was superior to all others. That's what, when he's talking about cohesiveness, that's what he's talking about. That, your neighbors, they might play different music than you. They might celebrate different holidays than you. He's railed on against diversity in past years. This is what he means when he talks about cohesiveness. Because we're not at risk of overpopulation. This is class warfare also. Him whining about apartment complexes. This is to gin up fear in a white suburban middle class audience member. What? Apartment complexes? I don't want apartment complexes. That'll drop my property values. Classic strategy of sowing fear and division. He is the one responsible for chaos. Taking part in culture war nonsense arguments, and when he's not doing that, he's doing this, sowing fear about immigration and the growing threat of caravans at our southern border. If there's any crisis relative to immigration, it's not on our end. The crisis is that people are suffering and their lives are in danger in other countries. I'm not advocating for an open border. It's not tenable, but certainly we can act as we have in the past in several moments in our history and act with an eye toward humanitarianism, with empathy and love of our fellow humans. That's not on the table for Tucker Carlson. Human pothole, Tucker Carlson. White supremacist, Tucker Carlson. The pig with lipstick. The wolf in sheep's clothing. The Nazi in a suit. The challenge still stands, young Tucker, who is older than me, by the way. I said in a previous video when I challenged him to a charity boxing match to solve the issue of his traditional masculinity. She hasn't answered. You can buy a t-shirt. What is happening in America that this individual has sponsors that are still, and it's not just the MyPillow goofball. He has mainstream companies that advertise on his program. There's something wrong with this. These ideas cannot be made mainstream. They cannot be looked the other way at. We all have an obligation to our fellow humans. If you're in a position to do something, you have an obligation to do so. I'd love to know what you think. 714-576-4054. Of course, you can always email me daily at dollemore.com. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from you if you dissent. I got an email yesterday that I'll turn this off, edit this video, and get it out and then do on an email I got yesterday. Of someone who, I love your videos, but I can't get behind you on the stuff that you talk about with race. Maybe I'm a racist. We need to weed out these dangerous ideas before they take root in a younger generation. Anyway, I would appreciate if you consider supporting my work here on YouTube for as little as $2 a month, for $1.99 a month. You click the join button, see what comes along with it, and support independent analysis, independent challenging to charity boxing matches of Fox News goof personalities. I would appreciate you just considering it. Follow me on social media. That's always a good time. I'd love to connect with you there. And I'll see you next time. I love you guys. Until I see you, be genuine. Take care of one another.